Right now, you get a $1,000 rebate. Advantage Plymouth. Nah, Advantage California.
Jeff, who lives in L.A., is talking to his pal Mike, who lives in Palmdale. Remarkably, this call costs 25% less than last month because Mike is in Jeff's bonus zone, and Jeff just got call bonus from Pacific Bell. Wherever you live in California, call us. We'll check and see if call bonus can save you money, too. Call 1-800-PAC-BELL. We're making things easier.
At Circuit City, our sales counselors will let you play with lots of different video cameras and accessories. And when it comes to making sure you find the one that makes everybody happy,
you're in California. Channel 7 KABC TV, Los Angeles. Now, Paul Moyer, Ann Martin, Johnny Mountain Weather, and Jim Hill Sports. When news happens, you see it happen on Eyewitness News at 5.
It was 5 years ago a little girl was viciously mauled by a mountain lion, and today she told how the frightening experience has changed her life. Good evening, everybody. It's now 5 o'clock. Laura Small and her parents are suing Orange County for not warning them about the mountain lion dangers. As Rick Romero tells us tonight, the little girl today took the stand.
This morning in court, attorneys for the mauled little girl presented their strongest, toughest evidence yet. Little Laura Small took the stand with her scarred face and head, and there was a home videotape. In February of 1986, little 5-year-old Laura Small was a smiling, playful, curious young girl who loved animals. But 1 month later, as this videotape shows, Laura was in the hospital. Her skull had been crushed. Her face had been mauled. The reason? A hideous attack by a California mountain lion while on a nature hike with her parents in Casper's Wilderness Park. Today in court, her mother remembered that horrible day when the lion grabbed and dragged Laura in its powerful jaws.
I stood in the middle of the stream and I screamed. And I just kept screaming. I remember bending over to just try to get enough breath to keep screaming.
And then this morning, Laura, now 10 years old, took the stand, partially paralyzed, blind in one eye, and scarred physically and emotionally. She said she has a tough time making friends.
Because everybody makes fun of me, and they call me cat girl and things like that.
Laura's parents say the attack should never have happened, that the county should have warned visitors of the danger. According to her mother, rangers told her the most vicious wildlife in the park was the poison oak. The Smalls went $1.2 million in damages from Orange County. In Santa Ana, Rick Romero, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, the Orange County Bureau.
All right, Ann Martin continues her vacation tonight. Joining me at 5 o'clock is Joanna Shamina. Joanne?
And Paul, we continue on now with a story of concern for another young girl. The search continues for a missing 4-year-old San Bernardino girl, a child last seen a full 10 days ago. Alicia Armstrong was shopping with her father when she was apparently kidnapped, and now the investigation has even included a search of the child's foster parents' home.
This morning at 1 a.m., members of the San Bernardino Police Department began serving a search warrant at Alicia Armstrong's parents' home, Officer and Mrs. Craig Armstrong. We have no suspects in this case at this time. We are following multiple leads. This is simply one of those leads that we are following.
The FBI has now entered the case, but so far the child's disappearance remains a mystery. Paul.
All right, Joanna, a story about another search here. Officially tonight, it is over. The search for that young Boy Scout in the San Bernardino Mountains that raised the hopes and captured the hearts of all of us has now officially been called off. The boy has been missing since July 19th, but his father will not give up hope. He is pleading for the resumption of that search. Bob Banfield takes it from there.
The parents of missing Boy Scout Jared Negretti spent a great deal of time in the San Gorgonio Mountains during the extensive search for their son. A strong sort of understanding and kinship developed among family members and many of the volunteers who day after day were helicoptered onto the rugged mountain. But despite the equipment and the manpower, the boy was not found. While a few volunteers are still searching today, the massive operation was stopped Sunday night. Today, an obviously distraught Philippe Negretti called for a resumption of the major search effort.
This moment I prayed to my God that If we do find him, and we end this story with a good one or a bad one, whatever it may be, as soon as we can find out, that's why I'm asking the governor for his help.
Negretti said he does not hold the Boy Scouts responsible, he will sue nobody, and that the scoutmaster of Jared's troop feels the father's pain and remains a good friend. The school custodian indicated he can accept the fact his son is not alive, but needs to have an end to the unfortunate story. Mr. Negretti has 2 telephone numbers to the governor's office in Sacramento, does not plan to call him directly, hoping the governor will see this television appeal. Bob Banfield, Channel 7 Eyewitness News in El Monte.
Here is a shocking story. Has murder turned into a spectator sport committed in front of an audience? Well, 5 teenagers have been arrested in connection with the murder of a man delivering Chinese food. Police in Waterbury, Connecticut say the ambush robbery murder apparently was well planned. They believe the man was lured to an apartment complex where he was killed in front of a small invited audience. They also say that each of the teenagers played a part in the crime.
One of them supposedly was assigned to hold the gun. Another was assigned to take the food. Another assigned to take the money. Fourth assigned to steal the car that the delivery men arrived in. And there was even a fifth who was, his job was to guide them through the woods when they made their escape.
A total of 3 suspects, 2 17-year-olds, 1 18-year-old, have been charged with murder, robbery, and conspiracy to commit robbery. A 13 and 14-year-old are going to be trialed in this as juveniles. Joanne?
Back here in the Southland in court, the prosecution today began its case against former leaders of the local Ku Klux Klan, who allegedly masterminded a cross-burning in the San Gabriel Mountains 8 years ago. Our Linda Moore has the details on the case, which has been repeatedly delayed by appeals and legal maneuvering.
Tom Metzger, the former head of the KKK, and 3 followers, all defendants in a trial that has been long in coming. The 4 men are facing several charges, including conspiring to violate city fire codes, a felony. 3 of the defendants, including Metzger, are also charged with unlawful assembly on December 3rd, 1983. That is when about a dozen members of the Ku Klux Klan got together in an ethnically mixed neighborhood of Lakeview Terrace. 3 18-foot crosses were burned. The whole event captured on video by a photographer working undercover. Today, in opening statements, the prosecutor told jurors they will be shown that video as evidence.
You'll actually see them inside the home, the little home that was present at that location.
Prosecutors have had a tough time getting this case to trial, hung up over constitutional issues. In the past 7 years, original charges have been changed or dropped altogether. Metzger claims it is all a witch hunt.
Because I'm being punished for being effective. I'm very effective with my television program. I'm very effective with young people all over the country. And the system doesn't like that.
But he says a recent multi-million-dollar judgment against him in an unrelated civil case has made him so poor, for now, he's the one getting the last laugh.
So I said, well, I'll go on welfare,
So you're
too.
getting welfare checks now?
Yeah, absolutely. So now all the citizens of the state of California, black, white, red, yellow, they're all supporting my association. I love it.
Jury selection was actually only completed this morning. That process lasted over 1 week and over 200 prospective jurors were interviewed. Many of them said they simply knew too much about Metzger and the KKK's philosophy to be unbiased in this trial, which is expected to last a couple of months. At Superior Court in downtown Los Angeles, Linda Moore, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
A group of demonstrators in the Pico Union area are gathering at this hour to protest the construction of permanent barricades in the streets of that neighborhood. Now, the police put up temporary barricades a year ago to try to keep crime and drugs out, and now they want to make them permanent. Our reporter, Jeff Michael, is standing by live now with the news van in the Pico Union area to bring us the very latest on this story. Jeff.
Okay, Laura, we're right on the intersection here. What you basically got here are about 5 people from the Communist Revolutionary Party, they say. They're taking as a part of Operation Cul-de-sac, police effort to try to keep drug trade out of the area and drive-by shootings. Now, as you look off in the distance there, you can see the LAPD. They've been here for about 30 minutes or so. They're basically just watching the whole situation. They're not doing anything at this point. They say they're just going to watch, make sure no one gets hurt, and then go ahead and move in and make sure traffic isn't impeded. Real quick, let me see if I can get either of these people with this party to talk to us. Dr. Roy, you talk to us? All right, they don't want to talk. Basically, all they've told us is that they think this creates a police state in the Pico Union area, an area referred to as La Central Americana where a lot of Central Americans and Guatemalans live. Nobody, to be honest with you, has stood by them and seems to be agreeing with them. Everyone just seems to be watching them. They set some tires on fire. That was put out. Apparently not a big problem. You can see one police officer over here just talking to the guy, but at this point, not doing anything. Apparently, police not wanting to incite a problem. We're obviously going to stand by here if it gets worse than it is now. Once again, with just 5 people demonstrating, we'll come back to you and let you know about it. Back to both of you in the studio.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Again, we will say that, as Jeff said twice now, there are only 5 people that are involved in all of this, and right now there is nothing to it. The City Council today passed a motion asking Police Chief Daryl Gates to reverse his position and allow uniformed gay officers to recruit new officers at a street fair this weekend in Silver Lake.
That's history. Policyholders besieged the firm, fearing their savings had disappeared because of Executive Life's failed investments in junk bonds. But today, State Insurance Commissioner John Garamendi offered a way out, a pledge by French investors to buy Executive Life for $3 billion.
It is a business solution for a very real business problem.
The French deal would leave insurance policyholders with 81% of the value of their policies in a new insurance company, and Executive Life's fallen junk bonds would be sold for $2.7 billion.
We're pleased with the 81%, and we're hoping that we'll get 100%.
It involves half my life savings, so that it's very scary right now.
There are significant problems to overcome. The IRS has a $643 million lien against Executive Life for back taxes, and municipalities which bought guaranteed investment contracts claim they're owed $2 billion off the top. But the insurance commissioner expects these problems to be resolved favorably, tempting other companies to bid for Executive Life.
We expect others to come forth and possibly, hopefully, top it. So much the better for the policyholders.
Executive Life had grown big by being the best customer of junk bond king Michael Milken, who's now in prison. When the market for junk collapsed, Executive Life was sent reeling.
And our country is faced with realizing that you can't put the foxes in the chicken house here. We need some rules and some controls.
Executive Life was the first big tree to fall in the insurance industry forest this year. But now the State Department of Insurance says Executive Life's policyholders are just about out of the woods if the courts and the IRS cooperate. Mark Coogan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, West Los Angeles.
As we continue on Eyewitness News tonight, the state's top prosecutor talks about the growing problem of gangs and violence.
And a show of support from top entertainers for children who live with gangs every day.
Here we are.
Southern California. There's only one place like it on Earth. Coast 103 FM. There's only one station like it in Southern California. Coast 103 plays continuous soft hits all day and love songs every night.
I want you just the way you are.
For continuous soft hits, there's only one. Coast 103.5 FM.
I'm Adrienne Arpel. This week we're doing my complete 2-hour makeover at the Robinson's Beauty Salon. You'll receive a deep cleansing facial with a honey and almond scrub, skin vacuuming, and a heated collagen mask. Next, your makeup and lessons. And then our stylists will cut and restyle your hair. Just 2 hours later. Isn't this worth $29.50? Call for your complete Adrienne Arpel makeover.
$29.50 at Robinson's Beauty Salon.
Sir, this is one of the few businesses that doesn't advertise in the GTE everything pages. Why is that?
Well, this is Mom's restaurant. And this is Mom. She's a great cook. But if I advertised in the book people actually use, this place would be packed. I don't think either one of us wants that on our conscience. Do we?
Businesses that want to be successful advertise in the GTE everything pages. Those that don't.
You know, once a year, the Norm Reeves Honda Superstore discounts all of this year's Hondas to clear them out. With huge shipments of new model Hondas coming in and literally no room to put them, they've had to discount these Hondas to prices you don't want to miss. And with their price protection guarantee, you will get a low price. Guaranteed. But come in now during the Superstore's clean sweep before all these super Hondas are swept away. Super prices, super selection. The Norm Reeves Honda Superstore in the Cerritos Auto Square.
Organized crime, once thought of as basically a problem back east, is now a growing problem right here in California. That's what the State Attorney General Dan Lundgren told a group of undercover detectives and other officers in Sacramento today. He says the organized crime problem in just about every community revolves around what he called one common denominator.
No matter what organized crime group we look at, illegal drugs are a part and parcel of their existence, a major focus of their activities. If we're to stop the organized crime activities, we must stop the importation, manufacturing, distribution, and sales of illicit drugs. And we can't just do it by saying it. We can't just do it by better police work. We have to get the word out in the communities that they have to work with us.
Here is something that might shock you. Lundgren said that half of all the heroin and cocaine imported into the United States enters the country in California.
So much shocking there. Well, a group of motion pictures and television stars today joined forces in the fight against gangs and drugs. It's called Summer Fresh 91, and it was sponsored by a group of record companies, soft drink manufacturers, and others. It was staged at the Watts Willowbrook Boys and Girls Club and was designed to entertain as well as to provide a strong message against violence.
Also, what I want you guys to see is how good I'm doing so you know you can do just as well as I'm doing. And I also want you guys to get your education, and I want you guys to listen to your parents, and I want you guys to see a drug dealer, call the police.
And among those appearing was John Singleton, the writer-director of the anti-gang film called Boys in the Hood. A reminder, too, that later on in this newscast, our Mark Brown continues his special report on children getting out of gangs alive.
Yeah, part one last night, excellent. I trust tonight's will be equally so. Got up this morning.
Yes.
Opened my eyes.
That's a good sign.
Well, it's a good sign. Hey, I made it through another night. And I saw the sun. Haven't seen that in the morning around my house in a long time. Nice.
It's a strange thing.
It is a strange object in the sky.
It's August and summer broke out. And it's all...
It's nice, isn't it?
And August, yeah, we're about to get some sunshine. We're about to hit some heat out there, getting ready for the weekend. And we'll give you the forecast when we come back. And no messing around. We'll be back after this.
You may never need Pearl's free breakage guarantee. But you never know. Only Pearl will repair or replace your broken glasses free for 1 full year, even if you break them. Have you got your Pearls on?
The new Acura Legend LS Coupe has 200 horsepower, so were it up to our engineers, this is how you'd see our car. It also offers exceptional styling, so were it up to our designers, this is how you'd see our car. And it costs less than a Lexus or Mercedes, so were it up to our competitors, this is how you'd see our car. Fortunately, they don't get a vote. And now you can lease a Legend LS Coupe at some extraordinary rates.
Like Coach always said, hit him in the numbers.
Who do the pros call for an all-pro deal on hot, delicious pizza? Who do you think?
Hello, Domino's Pizza.
Call now for Domino's kickoff deal. 2 medium cheese pizzas with 4 servings of Coca-Cola Classic or Diet Coke for just $9.99. And get free NFL quarterback trading cards.
Only from Domino's. Call now, dude. Oh, yeah.
Across the country, it's the talk of the town. Folks disappear and things shut down. When OPRAH'S on, come on, OPRAH'S on. People take 5 and tongues stop flapping. Mamas take breaks and babies start napping. OPRAH'S on, she's stealing my show. OPRAH'S on, gotta quit, gotta go. It's 3 o'clock, where's everybody gone? Get tuned in. OPRAH'S on, come on.
Watch the Oprah Winfrey Show tomorrow at 3.
As we were saying, the sun decided to join us this summer. Finally.
That's good.
About time, a little late, but it got here.
It finally got here, and we're happy to see it, and it's nice to have a little bit of summer, and temperatures are warming up, and it looks good for the weekend. I mean, it really looks good for the weekend. But then again, I was the guy who said it looked good for last weekend, and the cloud layer was about 10,000.
We weren't going to mention that.
I know. That's why I did. I like to take the pressure off as soon as I can. You know, every year they have a big convention up in South Dakota, Sturgis, South Dakota. Yeah. Everybody who owns a Harley motorcycle that can get there goes up there. They have a big convention. Oh,
Harleys are big time now.
Big time. I mean, it's like a way of life. And so we've got a little bit of, I think, footage of this, of what's going on up there. And they sell trinkets and they go around and sometimes they raise money for different things. But anyway, just go up there and ride a bike and have some fun. And that's kind of what the people are doing up there. They've got, I don't know if you've seen these, but they're like massive and great and wonderful, and they sell things, and it's trinket time, and Sturgis gets a lot of money out of this, by the way. Make a lot of money. Guys hanging around. All right, let's pop some temperatures in here. Nice hair. Partly cloudy, the temperature at 78, humidity at 50%, southwest winds at 13, and the pressure 29 to 99. We will show you the high today, 79. It's warming up. The overnight low 61, time of sunrise and sunset. And finally, we've got some sunset, and that's good. And for those of you who might be taking a cruise, you know by about Wednesday, you're down around Puerto Vallarta, Cabo San Lucas, and expect some rain down there as they sail through that. And also our latest hurricane beginning to move on out, beginning to unwind just a bit because of some cooler water. And as Dallas reported earlier, we may get a little bit of surf out of that to our local area. Locally, we've got some storm system that is moving to the north, mostly to the north. Ridge of high pressure here, bringing us kind of an offshore. The marine layer has been about 1,000 feet, maybe 1,500. But at any rate, that's allowing for the sunshine to move in along the coast. As you can see, those low clouds burn away by the afternoon, and we get some sunshine, and temperatures are allowed to warm up just a bit, and that is good news. Here's what's happening across the country. First of all, again in the west, you can see the rain showers moving in. But then late in the afternoon, some severe thunderstorms popping up over Nebraska, some severe weather right there. As a matter of fact, you can see from the radar, also we're getting it here in the west, but across the plains area, it's beginning to break out in and around the Virginia area. Newport News, 2.5 inches of rainfall. Virginia Beach, about 3 inches of rainfall, and some very heavy storms from Arkansas south, as we have been getting a place called Poplar Bluff, Missouri, 103 degrees, and with the humidity, 122. That's the way it felt. From about Iowa south, the extreme caution for very, very warm weather. And tomorrow across the country, 80s and 90s, a patch of 100s in the desert southwest. But look, 90s all the way through Montana, up into Canada, turning into 80s through Chicago, 70s from Wisconsin north, and all the way up into Maine, into the 90s, hot and humid, down around the southeastern portion of the country. For us, though, the ridge is going to stay basically in the west, and we're going to keep that offshore for the next few days, allow temperatures to warm up. But thunderstorms from Iowa all the way in through Virginia again, and from that line south, thunderstorms tomorrow. Our forecast, we're coming out shooting with lots of sunshine. Few ocean clouds, and they will hang in mostly around the coastal section of the overnight low 63. The high for tomorrow, we're expecting to warm up to 87. But look at those valley temperatures, 90 to 102. A hot, hot summer day. Finally we get one. Now we can put it on the calendar and tell everybody we had summer. Finally. Here we go with the old 5 days. You can see Saturday, Sunday in the mid-80s. And, of course, that's at the Civic Center. It'll be warmer than that into the valleys. That's it.
Well, you can see a lot, people back in the Midwest that suffer all that humidity and heat. Hear us complaining about the fact that we haven't had the sun much this summer.
Yeah, right. We shouldn't complain, right.
It's been a good summer for people in the valley, though. They've had more sun than we have. All right, still ahead tonight. Mothers risking their lives to keep their children out of gangs. Mark Brown tells us how the kids are getting out alive.
A huge, and we mean huge, and unusual collection of roaches compete for the world's record.
Up next, the U.S. is preparing for the possible release of Americans being held hostage in Lebanon.
There is a place where rain falls without a cloud in the sky, and where there's thunder without lightning. A place where the high and the mighty peacefully coexist, and sausages grow on trees. It's an enchanting African rainforest, but it's nowhere near Africa. In fact, the place where you can find all these curiosities of nature is almost close enough to touch. Gorilla Tropics, new at the San Diego Zoo. To getting around town, nothing outperforms your phone. So make the call before you make the drive.
If the food budget is a little tighter at your house these days, What full-service supermarket can you depend on for lower prices overall? Well, it's not Ralph's or Albertsons, Vons, and it certainly isn't Alpha Beta. On over 500 items, Lucky once again was lower by as much as 8%. Which shows when it comes to lower prices overall, no other full-service supermarket stands up to Lucky.
Have you seen this? It's Healthline magazine, and it rates Nutrisystem #1 out of 16 popular diet regimens, the only one they gave a perfect score. Does that surprise me? Not at all. They're already #1 with me because only Nutrisystem helped me take off 25 pounds. Come on, give Nutrisystem a call. The only thing you've got to lose, you'll lose.
Now, join Nutrisystem, only $39 for an introductory program. Call 1-800-321-THIN.
What's chopping? What's baking? What's savory? What's wooey, lime? Come, see for yourself at the Olive Garden, where all the best of Italy is yours.
Is this really it, or is this another cruel hoax? Everybody around the world watching, waiting to see if those hostages captured by Lebanon and Shiite Muslims are going to be released. Islamic Jihad, the group holding the hostages, issued a statement today saying it will send a messenger to UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar concerning the hostages. Attention being focused on one, U.S. hostage Terry Anderson. His relatives, needless to say, are very anxious to hear news about his possible release.
We've had our hopes dashed so many times. You know, we've been up and excited so many times and had our hopes dashed to the ground that now when you hear it, you think, well, maybe.
President Bush is being very cautious about all of this. He says he is optimistic about the release, but he has no definite details. A medical team, nonetheless, being assembled to care for any of the hostages that might be released once they reach Wiesbaden, West Germany. Joanne?
News now in politics. Democratic Senator Jay Rockefeller of West Virginia said today that he will not make a run for president in 1992 after all. Rockefeller told reporters that he feels that there is just not enough time to organize and run a successful campaign and to plan an administration. He is 54 years old and a nephew of the late Nelson Rockefeller, one-time Republican governor of New York. Also today, Attorney General Dick Thornburgh hinted that he will announce his political plans next week. He is expected to run as a Republican for a U.S. Senate seat from Pennsylvania. That's a seat now held by Democrat Harris Wofford. He was appointed to it after the death of Republican Senator John Hines, and Hines, you may recall, was killed in a plane crash last April.
You know, I made a slip of the tongue. I said Wiesbaden, West Germany. We're so used to saying that over the years. Of course, it is now Germany. The battle between the business community and environmentalists shows no signs of abating, with each side accusing the other of extremism. Tonight, commentator Bruce Hershenson has some thoughts on this whole issue. Bruce?
Yeah, by this time, of course, you've heard about the snail darter. I mean, years and years ago, to some environmentalists, the snail darter became more important than building power dams to give us electricity. It's an old story, and I'm not going to go into it. But the new story is the furbush lousewort, the Delta smelt, the gnatcatcher, the Stevens kangaroo rat, and, of course, the spotted owl. They're being used, in my opinion, by a movement that has as its base an abhorrence of private property, an abhorrence of private enterprise, an abhorrence of capitalism, and at its worst, an abhorrence of the human species. Now, I'll give some evidence of that in a moment, but first I want to say that I am not talking about most followers of the environmental movement. I am talking about many leaders of that movement. Since anyone would have to be cuckoo to be against the environment, they have grasped onto that word, and if followed, will lead us into becoming a third world nation. They've taken the word environment as theirs because it encompasses control of everything. Water, food, gasoline, animals, trees, insects, all transportation, temperature, everything. Now, I recognize that many can think that I'm going much too far in accusing them of being anti-capitalist and anti-human being. I wish I was going too far in making an accusation like that. But when you read what they say, how can you deny the meaning of their own words? Listen, this is what I say. What was said. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find it. The Journal of Earth First recommended and I won't do it in its exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but they recommended that the terminally ill wrap themselves in bombs and blow up power dams, headquarters of corporations, fur warehouses, and